All right. So, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Holly Stoberski, and I'm running for Justice Court Department 4.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. Give us a brief bio.
You bet. I moved to Las Vegas about 30 years ago or so. I met my husband as a second year law student in Las Vegas, and we have now lived here and celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary this year.
30 years.
30 years. In 2012, at encouragement of and urging of friends and judges that I know, because they were familiar with my background and penchant for law and integrity and ethical behavior, they encouraged me and urged me to apply for a Justice of the Peace pro tem position with Clark County Commissioners. And since 2012, I have continued to serve as a Justice of the Peace pro tem in Las Vegas, as well as in Henderson and North Las Vegas. And for those who don't know what a pro tem judge does, I generally serve on the bench when the assigned judge to that particular department is not available. What distinguishes it a little bit different than a judge who's a sitting judge is that over the past 12 plus years, I've had the honor of presiding not over just one particular department, which is what a sitting judge gets. They get assigned to a department and they serve in that department for 2, 4, 6, whatever their term is. I have the honor of being able to cover every department in all the justice courts. That includes all criminal cases, all civil cases, any specialty courts like Veterans Court and domestic violence, DUI, civil jury trials, misdemeanor criminal trials. So I've had a little bit of a unique, profound experience, I would say, in being and serving as a pro tem judge in that over the past 12 plus years, I've had the opportunity to just not cover one or two departments, but be familiar with how the justice system works in the Las Vegas township, including Henderson and North Las Vegas.
Talking about with some of the judicial candidates about trust in the judiciary and how to improve it, because apparently there's a lack of trust in the judiciary. Some of the judge candidates think that there's things we could do better. Do you have any comments on that topic?
I do. So I want to begin with by talking about the codes of judicial ethic. The codes specifically provide that a judge is not to undertake any behavior that would undermine the public's confidence in the judiciary, its integrity, and independence. So, for instance, commenting on personal views and being public about what your thought is about how the public school system is doing. Those are the types of things that undermine the public's trust in what's happening with the judiciary. Just imagine if the school district happened to be in justice court in front of a judge that had gone on a tirade about what his or her views are on a particular topic. So, in order to build the trust with the public in the judiciary system, I think we need to be more transparency. There needs to be more equal access to obtaining records. It shouldn't be any more difficult for someone in Henderson to obtain records in the courthouse than it is for someone in Las Vegas to do that. So, having a fair access to justice and judicial records and transparency will hopefully give the public more assurances that when they walk into a courtroom, they're walking into a safe space where the judge will be impartial, free of bias, and determine the case on its merits.
I know you're not running for family court judge, but any comments on the family court industry? And I ask this specifically because Mr. Sanson has been very much involved in that world and not necessarily been very complimentary of that particular branch of law. But any comments on that topic?
I appreciate the question, but I do have to go back to as a judicial candidate, which also binds me to the Code of Judicial Ethics, it is not appropriate for me to opine publicly on what my thoughts are in a particular area, especially when I do not practice in family court, and it would be unfair for me to give any opinion having to do with family court when that is not an area that I specialize in or practice
So, Mr. Falcone was here earlier, and he's been a big proponent of not only documenting what's happening in court on video, but making it HD. He's all about it's got to be HD because you could see in great detail what's happening. Court should be all about transparency. Any thoughts on that topic?
Tell me what you mean by having it be in HD. Is it that
By definition,
but is it that it's better so they can see more? What is the
he's
distinction?
more quality. So I guess what he's saying is these old school cameras are very like pixelated. You don't see a lot of detail, and the higher quality it is, the more public participation there is. They'll actually watch it as opposed to something that looks like more like a security camera footage. So he's all about almost like the way television looks. He wants our court videos to be of that quality and not to be of lower quality, so the public would be more incentivized to watch.
I appreciate that question. So ever since COVID started, there was more and more push from the courthouse to allow people to participate in the court proceedings, not so much in person for safety purposes, but also be able to watch what is happening in court. I can tell you that I share some of that concern because we do allow participants to appear in court by Zoom when necessary, and I get it. It's difficult sometimes to understand and see the person that you're talking to about what the status of their case is when it's being done through Zoom. I appreciate that. But if there is a better way of making the cameras work in a more friendly fashion so more people are inclined, and it gets that's what we want, right? Collaboration is power. We want the public to be involved in what we're doing so they trust us when they walk into the courtroom that they're going to have their day in court. So if there is a way to make it easier for public to view public proceedings, so long as I have to make a small exception. Um, there is nothing that can be viewed which is a work product by either the public defender's office or the DA's office on their laptop or computers. Similarly, with the notes that the judge is taking when there are being arguments made and the judge wants to keep track of what is being represented, those are not viewable because, again, that is work product. But I do appreciate, and I think it would be a good idea to have a better camera system that would allow the public to see what is actually happening in the court so it's not so granular and difficult to access.
Last question. Now, in terms of you're essentially, I'm going to give the mic to you. Like, is there anything you want to tell the public specific to you that you'd want them to know? Also, how they could, see your, let's say, your website, social media, anything that you'd want them to be aware of.
Thank you for that opportunity. I really appreciate that. So, the public can, of course, learn more and more about me at www.holly, number 4, judge.com. I invite everyone to view my qualifications, the years that I have served on the bench, but more specifically about why I think I would be the right person for this position. There are well-known adjectives and qualities for what makes a good judge. Every attorney goes to law school wanting to be an advocate. You graduate from law school and you become a DA or a PD. You represent an injured person. You represent criminals. You're always advocating. But not a whole lot of attorneys want to be judges or are judges because that is difficult. It is difficult to have a perspective where you are not an advocate. You have to have the ability to listen to advocates, make representations and arguments that may be equally good, and make the hard call as to which person was able to show that the facts dictate the application of the law in their favor. Qualities to make a good judge include the ability to have a good judicial temperament. Over the years, I've had situations where a tenant has had to be evicted. I've had to impose sentences of up to a year. And you'd be surprised how many times that individual turns around and says, "Thank you," after I have just sentenced them or ordered that because of the facts of the case, the individual has to be evicted. And I fully believe it is because they still feel like they had their day in court. So a judicial temperament is key, and also being able to communicate. And that just does not mean that a judge gets to sit up there and have their day in court and keep talking at people. It's all about listening. Listening is a key function of being a judge and being impartial and free of bias when adjudicating a matter. I have proven over the years of service that I have done to Clark County and my care for the safety of the community that I am absolutely the correct person for this position because I consistently have shown that I do have the qualities to not only be impartial, but to also protect the safety of individuals and their constitutional rights. And I really appreciate this opportunity to speak further. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Best of luck out there.